we are going to talk about curating and creating content. So two very different things. I'm going to do just a super general overview of everything, just to kind of touch everything. And then if you have any specific questions, whoop, I went ahead. Oh geez, how do I get out of here? Oh, there we go. If you have any specific questions, then we can ask those in the chat, or we can have a completely separate webinar all on its own about either one of those topics if you want to like get more into it. So we've got a preview, but here is the first thing that we should probably talk about. Before we can really start thinking about where and how and what should I be posting and who am I talking to, I really want to drive home the point that from here on out, when I say post on Facebook or post on Instagram or anything, I'm talking about your professional pages. So this is not sharing on your personal Facebook profile. I don't really care what you do with your personal Facebook profile. I'm talking about your Facebook business page and your Instagram, which should most likely be a Instagram business profile. So I always advise that people choose two, or you know, if you only have the bandwidth for one, focus on the major ones, which is Facebook and Instagram. If you have extra time, which we all do have a little extra time right now, you can look into Pinterest, you can look into LinkedIn. But if you are just starting out in terms of creating content or posting more regularly, I would make sure that I really have my main ones locked down and they look good and they're polished, and everything on there is something that I'd be proud that someone stumbled across. So my main thing is that I just don't want people to make a bunch of profiles on all these different platforms and then neglect some of them. So Facebook and Instagram are the big ones, and I would spend this time that we have, a little downtime, to really polish those, make sure that everything that you have on there is something that you would not mind someone seeing, and focusing on making those the best that you can. Oh, I added in a graphic, so that's what that is. Woo, my little star. I was like, why isn't it going? Is it gonna go now? Okay, here we go. Before we can really get into anything, we have to ask, what is our goal here? Who are we talking to? Who are we trying to reach? What type of things are we going to share? And what do we really want to get out of our social media presence? So if you haven't already, before you bother looking for content to share, you really need to sit down and maybe take pen and paper. This is kind of how I do it. Take pen and paper and think about your target audience, think about who you're trying to talk to specifically, and really narrow down what you're trying to get out of your social media. And that's going to help inform your content strategy, because you'll know better what that type of person, your target person, how often they want to be contacted, what kind of things they want to see. So that's sort of, you need to start there first. You can't put the cart before the horse type situation. You got to start with your social media strategy before you can really go out and find a bunch of content, because otherwise it's going to sound really crazy if you just find content for every type of person and every type of buyer and just kind of smash it all together and not really think about what you're really trying to get out of your social media, which is meaningful conversations and relationships with people that turn into sales. So I also advise to make a monthly calendar if you haven't already, just to schedule out when you're posting things. And if you can go into the SharePoint documents in the Blue Start folder, and there's like a little social media worksheet if you want to check that out. And just so you know, if you're covering all your bases, and let's say we find 3 things to share in our content curation, making sure that those are spread out and scheduled for the right time. So that's that. Let me stop myself and look at the questions and see if I have any. No questions as of yet. All right. So the main thing, the main thing about content marketing is that it needs to be valuable information. So this sounds obvious, but it really, really helps to stop and take a second before you share anything and actually think about, is this relevant? Is this timely? Is this interesting? Is this useful? Ideally, all of those things should apply, but not everything will. But it helps to really put yourself in the consumer's shoes. This is not about you. The main thing about content marketing is that it's not about you at all. It's about what is going to help this person and what do they actually care about. Is this interesting to someone that is just, they're thinking about buying a house, but in a year from now, they're not living it every day like you are. So the main thing about content marketing is this valuable? Is this compelling? Does it make that person view you as an expert? And does it matter? Does it matter to anyone besides someone that lives and breathes real estate all the time? So that's kind of the lens that we want to think about everything through. Curating content. So this is the first half of the section. And this is just curating just means finding things. So searching through the whole internet and finding great things to share and how you kind of decide and sift through everything that the internet has to offer. So basically, a good rule to follow, this is not a hard and fast, you don't have to think about this all the time, but once you start doing this, it'll be kind of second nature. It's the rule of thirds. So you don't want all of your content to be promotion, 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 check out my open houses, check out my listing. Everyone has seen that person that does that, and it's very boring, and that's why you've kind of tuned them out. So only 30% should be personal brand promotion, and that includes pushing your listings or pushing your open houses, that type of thing. It sounds very small, but in the grand scheme of how people think about you, that it actually feels more natural to only hear about your business that amount. And it's gonna come off a lot more genuine if they see information from your real estate page as mostly educational and interesting content and a little bit of pushing your sales. So that's kind of why we do that. So 30% is curated content, stuff that you found elsewhere that you thought was great and useful and timely and relevant. 30% is joining the conversation. So this is also stuff that you found elsewhere, or it could be just contributing to something that's already happening on social media and adding your 2 cents. And that's a great way to get involved in the community too, because you can tag whoever's involved, you can shout out local businesses, that type of thing. So sort of a 30-30-30 situation. Again, it's just evaluating your content in terms of, is this compelling enough to share? And not only do I think it's compelling enough, but would my, intended target think that this is good enough content that they would share it to their sphere? That's kind of a good way to think about it. Will anyone care enough to actually respond to it? Does this matter to my clients? You always sort of want to think through the lens of that. So I think what happens a lot is people get, I need something to share on my Facebook in their head. And so they just go out and look at a real estate blog, find the nearest article about DIY projects and throw it up there. That's fine. And technically it is content marketing. But if we look and we take a second and step back and look at everything through the lens of, is this actually compelling enough that if someone else would find this useful? Is this going to hit my target audience at the point that they are in their process? So let's say I'm targeting mostly sellers and I'm sharing this article that I found about first-time home buyers, like best tips for how to get a mortgage. Yeah, it is real estate content, but it doesn't make sense in terms of who I'm trying to talk to. So we always want to not get too upset about the fact that we don't have something to share right now. We want to make sure that we have something that makes sense for who we're talking to and is also interesting enough that it will stick and they'll care enough to click on it. So I also realized that the 30-30-30 doesn't add up. I didn't go to school for math. That's all I have to say about that. I have this slide. I'm sure a couple of you have seen this already. If you've been to Blue Start, this is my general rule for posting on social media, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about illustrated in here. on the, I don't know what side it is, I guess it's right to you, the green side, I have the personal brand promotion posts, and that's kind of how I think about that. This is your salesy stuff. So how much is your home worth? Call me to find out. Stop by my open house, that type of thing. That's only 30% of your posts at all. And I'm not talking about just on your personal, I'm not talking about just on your business page, on your Facebook business page profile, which is the only one I'm referring to right now. 30% only should be salesy posts. The rest should be the stuff that you see on the right or the left side of the screen, the blue side, stuff that does not seem like it's real estate related, but it is the type of content marketing that it's going to solidify you as an expert in your field. It's going to, help people to think that you know the neighborhood, you're involved, you have all these things going on, and you are someone that can help them. So things like, who's going to Carl's this weekend? Love this front porch idea, 3 easy DIY projects. Those are all kind of examples of both joining the conversation and the other one, the curated content. Yeah, so we have the 2/3 on this side and the 1/3 on this side. And I will send out these slides if anyone wants to see them. So some really cool places to find content. Of course, we can always look at like realtor.org or Zillow, Porchlight. Bigger Pockets is another good one. And I always say you should share things that sound like they're coming from you. So if you have any home decor blogs or design blogs that you already follow, like Southern Living or House Beautiful or something like that, it's going to feel more normal if you share something that sounds like you might have actually seen it organically. So these are just some suggestions. Coldwell Banker also has the Blue Matter blog, which is really good in terms of talking about consumer-facing real estate topics. I would be careful sharing things like from Inman, even though they are technically, some of them are consumer-facing. It's blocked by like a paywall, so just be mindful of when you're finding these great things. Not everyone can see them unless they like sign up for something, which is super annoying. So just be aware of that. Local news, obviously local government pages, anything that's timely in terms of like local weather, whatever. Yeah. And if you have any particular like niche areas that you specialize in, so let's say you're really into staging, you probably have a bunch of staging resources that you already go and check. That's something cool that people need to hear about from you that they won't get from another agent. So kind of explore your interests. If you're very into charity, or like you're Sarah Hurst and you love to go out and take care of the environment and get really involved in that, your content's going to have that sort of flavor. So just make sure that even though I'm recommending these places to find content, it doesn't necessarily have to be all of these or any of these. It can sound like you. This is just kind of a jumping off point. Number 1 rule, don't steal things. So don't pretend like you wrote something, and don't steal graphics and act like you made it. This is kindergarten stuff, but I see it all the time, and from people that should know better. It doesn't hurt you to give the creators credit. It actually helps you, because that's super flattering to say, I thought this was cool enough that I wanted to share it. So go ahead and tag them and encourage them to join in the conversation. And also like things like infographics or things like that. It's perfectly fine to use that stuff. Just make sure you are crediting the people that actually made it, tagging them, adding your 2 cents and saying, trying to involve them in the conversation. All of that is great, and it encourages people to have this sort of collaborative environment, and then you're not trying to come off like I made this. Yeah, so that's kind of my soapbox on that one. Of course, NAR, Realtor.com, they all have Facebook pages. So if you kind of want an easier way, like a brainless way to organize all of these sources and make sure that you're staying on top of what they're posting, go ahead and like them all on Facebook and follow them wherever they are, so that they post enough content that you'll see it come across in your newsfeed. So that's an easy way. If you want to be a little bit more organized about it, I use Feedly, and I'll get that up in a second. Feedly, let me escape here. And if you have any questions, stick them in the little box. I haven't seen any so far, so we're good on that front. Let me get Feedly up really quick. Oh, here's my webcam. It's been hidden this whole time. All right, so Feedly is an aggregator, basically, which just means that it keeps everything in one place. So what I've done, you just make an account, it's free. And what I've done is I made a little category about real estate stuff, and I stuck in everything that I like to follow and all the places that I like to get and curate content from. So that means, you know, and I could even section it out into like real estate news, industry stuff, lifestyle things, decorating, you know, all those different categories. But basically, I just stuck them all into one because I was lazy. And so they're all in here. And then what happens is it takes all of those, keeps track of them, and then it shows me when I log in the most popular and the most recent stuff that all of them have put out. So I can really quickly, without having to go to each of those websites, I can really quickly just go through and say, okay, cool. There's, you know, there's a nice article about Realogy, which is our parent company. I can share that. Or let's look at all about laminate flooring, understanding your options, you know, and you can go through and find some stuff really fast. So if you are one of those people that schedules things on like Sunday night, you schedule 10 things to go out during the week, Feedly is a cool way to keep everything sort of in one place so you don't have to find a million different websites and go to them all. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. Has anyone tried Feedly before? Has anyone tried another type of aggregator that keeps everything in one place? If you have, let me know. All right, let's go back to our keynote. All right. So another one of the commandments, I guess, is to add your 2 cents, add your thoughts, share your opinion about whatever you're sharing. So you should never be sharing anything just by itself naked. You don't take a link and just throw it out there into the universe. You want to make sure that you put what you thought about the article or what you think people should take away from it, or you know, great news for buyers. This is what I'm so glad this study came out, that type of thing. So make sure that you add your 2 cents when you share anything, and make sure that people understand what they're supposed to be getting from this when you share things. That helps. And it can be very easy, I think, to fall into the trap of, especially if you use Feedly or something like that, where it's just blog, 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 blog. Make sure that you don't, this is where having a schedule or like a planner would come in handy. Make sure you're not just posting one type of content, or you're not just like hammering DIY stuff, or, you know, tips on renovating your bathroom or that type of thing. This is kind of where it helps to have everything laid out so that you can see, you know, okay, I need to throw a video in there. I need to make sure that I have a neighborhood guide every so often, because I'm posting too many types of the same types of blogs, or I'm posting a lot of apartment therapy stuff. I need to like chill out on that for a while. So that's that. And now we're on to the creating content part. Let me double check my time. Hey, I'm running early, so I'll have time for questions. So we're into the creating content part, which is the more fun part, but also the scarier part for a lot of people. So types of content, what is out there? What is there to be made? Blogs are arguably the easiest to make, even though a lot of people are more scared of them. They are, you know, it's just you typing things out on your computer, so it's not super hard. But for some reason, they scare people off. Videos, infographics, testimonials, which we have a really cool, the Real Satisfied platform that makes a little testimonial for us, but I've seen other people that create their own, so that's kind of cool. Social media content in general, there's a whole lot of different stuff out there, like stories and lives and things like that. Local events, resource guides. I would also say like neighborhood guides and like videos about different neighborhoods, things like that. But the main thing that we should keep in mind is that when you are creating content, it's the same idea as before. It needs to provide valuable information. So it should be answering a question. It should be showing a benefit to the consumer about why am I clicking on this. There should not be anything that you're making that nobody asked for just because, oh, I like to make videos. That's great, but did anyone want to see that? That type of question should be kind of in the back of your mind. So when you are thinking about what to make, a good place to start is just what kinds of questions have I been asked by my clients recently, or what have I seen other agents struggling with that I can answer? And that's kind of a good place to start generally. Some other example topics to get started. Videos about local businesses, parks, charities, anything that you're involved in or that is, unique to the community. That's going to be really, really interesting, especially for people that are relocating here. So, okay. Oh no, I went backwards. Sorry, guys. Amateur hour over here. So some other stuff that's going to be interesting to people. Always your story. Not that it's going to be the most searched thing that people are looking for, but if they land up on your site and you don't have anything about yourself, that's going to be sort of a detriment because it's like, why pick you? Neighborhood guides, especially now, we have literally nothing else to think about except for our own area and our own neighborhood amenities. So now's a great time to do a deep dive blog into why my subdivision is the best. Here's some cool things about it. Here's the amenities that we really loved when we moved in here. This is the time to really just capture that niche market. I'll give an example. When we were looking for houses, condos up here in Arlington, I kept running across this guy because I was searching for different condo buildings, and literally every condo building this dude had made a video about. And so of course I kept finding him because his videos have the title of the condo building. And so it made him look like an expert on this area, even though I have no idea if he is or not. But I did watch a ton of the videos, and they were pretty helpful, and he just literally dominated that corner of the market that was looking for what is the difference between this condo building versus this condo building. So, you can apply that reasoning to your own process and what makes someone choose Lake Wilderness versus Lake of the Woods, or any type of thing like that. You can take that and run with it and make some content about that someone is out there desperately searching for, and then you'll be the only one that has it out there. So that's kind of nice. Practice makes perfect. Everybody knows this, but it can be. Oh, we have a question. Lori says, sometimes it seems like we're doing most of this for just our other realtor friends. Yes. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of people they follow and they like so many other of their friends that are realtors that they see a lot of the same types of content. So they just sort of make that same types of content. And that's an easy trap to fall into. I think a lot of people have done that. I would definitely say, you can like all your friends' pages, and definitely if they have a great idea, you can piggyback off of their ideas and things like that. But maybe it would be helpful to like unfollow or mute the page or whatever, just so that you don't get trapped into like, they're making so many videos, I have to make videos, that type of thing. And you don't get too much comparison envy type thing. But a good way to get out of that rut is to really just think about what your actual clients have asked for. So when you were going out looking for houses, what were the questions that came up? Everybody has different clients and a different niche that they're trying to appeal to. So stuff that your realtor friends are sharing may not work for your audience. It's that kind of thing that can help you differentiate and not like piggyback off of everyone else's stuff and just sort of make the same content over and over again. And that should help. Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer says, if you're going to pick one day to schedule and organize your content releases on Facebook, where would you go to start that process? So I mean, now it's a little bit different because we don't really have a work schedule, but I generally do like a Sunday night type situation where I know for a fact I have, you know, an hour at least to sit down and find some articles, schedule those. And then I know during the week that I don't have to think about like, it's Wednesday, I haven't posted anything. I know for a fact that Sunday they're all getting scheduled and then the whole week is set up so that if I want to post something live, I can, but that'll be a supplement to what I've already scheduled. So in terms of like, you saying like organizing your content releases, I don't know that there's like a better day or a better time really. It's mainly about when your audience is on. But I would say to be consistent. So if you know for a fact that you're super busy on Thursdays and Fridays, and that's just always going to be the case. You have some stuff with your kids, you know for a fact like it's not going to happen on Thursday and Friday. Maybe you just set a little reminder for yourself. Monday, Tuesday is when I write my blogs and they go out, so that you make sure like no matter what happens, at least once a week I do a blog and it goes out. That type of thing. And that should help a little bit. Hi, my little doggy came. So I think that's all the questions. Oh, okay, Lori said, are there better times of day or days to post? So generally what we think about is like, when are people on their phones? And it's kind of common sense, you know, after dinner or early in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. The weekends, you'll generally see more people on at like 1 p.m. or things like, it's sort of common sense, but you can definitely look up, if you literally just Google best times to post on social, there are plenty of like infographics out there that will help you with that. So, okay, Jennifer said no, she meant, where do you go to schedule, where do you go to set your schedule in Facebook? So I can show that at the end, but basically it's in publishing tools up at the top and it has like schedule. So I'll show that at the end. But yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to this. And so practice makes perfect. Writing is not everyone's strong suit, and that's actually fine. You know, the best writing actually doesn't do very well on the internet because, sorry about that. I do have a sore throat. I don't think it's the corona, but I do have a sore throat. The best writing in the world doesn't do very well on the internet because the internet is looking, Google is looking for keywords. So when you're, you know, when the internet machine is scrolling through all the different blogs, it's looking for keywords, it's looking for specific phrases. So as long as you're using that type of language that the Google machine wants, you're actually going to be, it's going to do better than if you had like amazing flowery writing. So I really wouldn't worry about like, I'm not a great writer. That fear stops a lot of people, and it really doesn't have to. I mean, I think like the normal average American reads at like an 8th grade level. So you're all fine. I've all talked to you. You can definitely write an 8th grade level. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think just starting and writing in a conversational tone is going to be perfectly fine and more than adequate for what you need to do to make sure that your blogs get found by Google. So if you get super stuck on like, I have no idea what to write about, I would try HubSpot's blog topic generator, which I have in there. And I also am going to send an email after this. I think it's going to go out like an hour after this with all these links. So don't worry about that. But the blog topic generator is kind of fun. It's literally just like you type in some words and it gives you some random suggestions, but it should help you get the ball rolling a little bit. You can also use CoSchedule's headline analyzer, and I'll show you what that looks like really quick. Escape, okay. Hey, no, escape. Here it is over here. So this is really cool. It is free, but you have to like sign, you have to like not log in, but you have to put your name and address in or whatever, or email address. So it's a little annoying, but I think it's worth it because it's super cool. You can use it as many times as you want, but you put in what your proposed title would be for your blog, and then it analyzes it, and it gives you this really cool kind of graph of like what how your heading stacks up and how it'll perform kind of. So it gives you like, hey, you have not very many uncommon words. You have 25% emotional words, which we want more of. You know, it's a how-to type headline, and it'll tell you, hey, your headline's too long or your headline's the right length, that type of thing. And the sentiment and that type, you know, keywords, it sort of helps you look at it from like a Google SEO perspective. So that's kind of fun. If you haven't tried that already, then give it a shot. And whoop, I'm gonna go back. Okay. And if you are using, I'm not sure how many people in here are using like a WordPress type. If your website is running on WordPress as opposed to like the Zap site, you can use an SEO optimizer like Yoast, which Jay talked about a little bit in the past, but it basically just reads your content and then it'll tell you like what you should do to optimize. So if you're using a website that has that capability, that's another good one. Alrighty. Did we have any more questions in here? No? Okay. All right, so the next one, I'm gonna keep it small. Hopefully that's okay. But my favorite graphics tools, things to make graphics with. So I know a lot of people are familiar with Canva. If you're not, this is the time to go check it out because it's free, perfectly free. It has so many different templates and ideas in there already. So you can really just like take what you want to put out and it'll give you some ideas to run with. Over is it's only on mobile. So I believe it's also on Android, but I use it on iPhone. But it is a mobile app that is also the same idea as Canva, where it's graphic tools. But I find it a little bit better for like Instagram stories and that type of thing. It's a subscription, but I can't remember how much. I think it's like $40 a year. So not too bad, but you know, not free. iMovie is what I generally use to edit videos, but there's plenty of them out there if you don't have a Mac product. If you have an iPhone, you do have iMovie, so check that out. VEE, and Magisto on mobile are good video editors too. And Magisto actually uses AI to like make a little video for you, so that's kind of fun, but I believe that one is paid. V is like $2.99 and you just have it, so that's pretty cool. For writing, I like Grammarly. It's like an extension that you just stick on your Chrome and then it sort of watches what you write all the time and suggests like different punctuation and grammar and all that stuff. So that's really cool. Pomodoro timer, you can just kind of Google those. There's a bunch of them. It's basically just a way to make sure that you're sitting down for like chunks of 25 minutes each, and you have a very set time of, I'm gonna write for 25 minutes, and then I get a little timer that says, hey, take a break, and then, okay, take a 5-minute break, and then I come back and I do 25 more minutes. So it helps you stay on track. And then of course the little tools that I mentioned before about like Yoast and the headline analyzer, so that you make sure that you're making the most of your SEO. If you're making the content, you might as well make it stick. Yeah. So here's examples of what Canva and Over look like. So Canva is on this side. Hopefully you can see my little mouse. But Canva is on this side and it has tons and tons of templates in there already. So if you come in there with just sort of a vague idea of what you want to do, it gives you a bunch of jumping off points. So definitely go check Canva out. And then it's very easy to use, as you can see down here. Like you can literally start with a blank template, or you can start with something that's already made and just substitute your stuff in, and it looks really cool. And this is over on the right. It's the same idea, but it's just on mobile, and they have a lot of cool stuff, including like adding videos in the background and things like that. So I like those a lot. Some Instagram story apps. So if you're, and you should be at this point using Instagram stories, everyone should be. You can also have them go to your Facebook as a story. So that's, everyone should be doing that. But basically, you can get super creative, and there are some apps. Over, Unfold, Canva also has Instagram story templates, and Mojo does like video type ones. So I would check those out if you want to make some cool stories. Here's just examples of ones that I made. They're not the best. I'm not saying they're like what everyone should be doing, but just examples of you can be really creative with your stuff. And whoop, here's some more. And I try to do in different categories too. So like I'll have a local section, a local highlight on my Instagram, or a real estate specific one, or a dogs one. If you have different stuff that you like to highlight, make those into different categories, and then make sure you're creating enough content that it's varied and people don't get bored. Alrighty. Here's just some examples from our agents of good content that I've seen recently. If you're not on here, don't be offended. I just literally picked some random ones that I found. But these are all great examples of content that people have made using basically all the stuff that I've been talking about. So I think Amber uses Canva or something similar. Doreen, a testimonial could be made on Canva. I'm not sure what she uses, but it looks very similar to Canva. And Annalie actually went live, so that's a live video, but she has the captions and stuff on. So those are all great examples if you're trying to like rack your brain for what to post about right now. Sort of a good jumping off point. Rubio Group has been making a lot of cool graphics too. And Connor did it's like a seller insights, which I thought was cool. And he asked the sellers about from one of his listings, like what they liked about it, and then he turned that into a nice graphic. So that's like, if you have a listing that you can't move right now, that's a great way to get some interest in it without just sharing the pictures again. Yeah. So you spent all this time, you've sat down, you've written a blog, you've made a graphic. Don't let it go to waste. I would say post your new content where people are going to be able to find it. So if you have a blog or on your website, make sure that you tag it with the appropriate category and organize those so that if somebody comes back to your blog in a year and they search under, the buyers category, oh, great, here's all these blogs about for buying that you wrote a year ago, but they're in that right category. Make sure that you post everything on, so like, let's say you wrote a blog, you can also stick that on your LinkedIn and publish it on your LinkedIn. If you made a graphic, share it on your Facebook and your Instagram. There's no limit to how much you can cross-publish your things, and it helps to show that to more audiences. So I would say make sure people can find it, number one. Optimize your SEO and your keywords, like we kind of talked about. If you are trying to really dominate a particular market, I would use those keywords like Fawn Lake or whatever your area is, homes with pools in Fredericksburg. If that's like your thing, make sure you're using those keywords so that people can find it and then suggest your site to other people. Repost your stuff. I would say only do it every couple of months if it's evergreen content, which means that it's content that could be shared at any time. I wouldn't get too crazy with like reposting the same blog over and over again, but if it is something that's like, just like home buying content that anyone could see at any time, I would just throw it back up in a couple months and then hopefully get some more eyes on it. And then the same idea as giving people credit, just tagging relevant. If you write a blog about my top 5 local pizza places in Fredericksburg, tag all of those businesses and shout them out, because that's awesome press for them. And then it helps grow your network as well. So just make sure that you're optimizing the stuff that you put so much time into so that you're getting the appropriate amount of exposure that you deserve on it. Yeah. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. And now we have 20 minutes of question time. So if you have anything burning in the back of your mind about like, how do I make content? Where do I find it? That type of thing, stick it in the questions. And for now, I'm going to show you Jennifer's question about how do you schedule things. And I'm actually going to turn off my webcam so I can gesture and not be distracting. There we go. Hopefully I'm still sharing my screen. Yeah, okay. So when you go into Facebook, So we're going to go to the CBE page. So when you are looking at your Facebook business profile, oh, let's wait for it to load. It should be up here under more, and sometimes I've seen these are rearranged, so it could be up here on your normal tab, but for mine it's over here under more, and you go to publishing tools, and you can create a post, write whatever you'd like, but instead of doing share now, you can schedule it and say for whatever time you want it to go out. So then once you've scheduled it, if you just press schedule, you can go over here to scheduled posts and see if I had scheduled some, you could see all of them right here at once. So that's kind of nice to be able to look at everything that you have going out for the week all in one screen. And that's kind of how you do that. Yeah, hopefully that answered that. Anyone else has any more questions? Thank you guys so much for coming. Okay, guys, I'm not seeing any more questions, but if you have any, you can email me always, and we can do some more webinars too if that seems like something you'd want to do. I'm going to have a couple more on things like writing better listing descriptions, or how to change your tone to talk to different audiences. So hopefully I'll see you guys at those ones, and thanks for coming again.